What's up, guys? Welcome to Mikey Yourself and today's Review Wednesday. So the last video that I posted on Sunday was about my turn signals, my LED turn signals, and I mentioned how I had some issues after getting my security system installed. So this is a little review of the Harley Davidson or HD Smart Security System that I got installed on my 2017 Road Glide. So if you're familiar with the HD Smart System, it's the little fob that comes along with some of the bikes. Now, this was a Road Glide standard, so when I bought this bike, it didn't come with the security system on it. So it was just a keyed ignition, so you get your simple barrel key and that's it, right? That's what locks and unlocks your bike, and if it's unlocked, then somebody can start your bike and take off with it if they wanted to. So I wanted to add a little layer of security to my bike, and the way I wanted to do that was to add the HD Smart Security System because it is plug and play, and I didn't want the siren component, so you can buy the siren separately. So if somebody picks your bike up, it starts whistling out really loud or whatever. For me, the alarms, most people just ignore them. So I just wanted the fact that if the fob isn't around, the bike ain't gonna work. So, I mean, if I don't hear it or not, it doesn't kind of really matter at that point. I just want to make it as difficult for somebody as possible if they wanted to take my bike. So, that said, I mentioned how I had some problems with the turn signals after having that installed. So this kit, the HD Smart Security System, consists of a couple of pieces, but the major one is this unit here. This is called the BCM. So this is the body control module. So you've got this piece, and then there's an ECU or an ECM, which is the computer system of your bike. And when they go through the process of installation, they flash it, right? So if you've dealt with any of the newer vehicles, you know that you can program your vehicle. This is why if you want to get another key, you have to take your car to the dealership to get it reprogrammed. It's the same stuff, right? But now Harley Davidson uses it. What makes this a little tricky is Harley is the only one who has their product, which is, I think it's called the TechMan or something like that, device to be able to program this. And so you and me as consumers, we really don't have visibility to what that looks like. So when I took it in and I got my BCM flash, when I got the bike back, the first thing I noted was my tail lights weren't working correctly. In fact, my stock tail lights weren't working at all. So that was a problem. And their flash corrected my blade lights, and I wasn't really quite sure what happened. So as I was going through the path of troubleshooting that issue, I started paying a little bit more attention to my ignition system. So as I was looking at my lights and what was going on with it, I was trying to do the sync, and that requires you to turn it on, hit the hazards, turn it off. And after repeating this step several times, it kind of got me thinking, because what I found was after the flash, my ignition system was working differently. So what I mean by that is, for a keyed Harley Davidson, and what that means is your Harley has the ignition set up where it's got multiple settings. So mine, it's got the fork lock, the off, the ignition, and then the accessory position, right? If your bike's got that, then you've got a keyed ignition. Now, there is a keyless ignition setup that you can get on Harley Davidson. And what that ignition looks like is basically just a fork lock. It don't have all those other things. So if you look at a trike, and possibly the CVOs, and you'll understand why I'm saying the CVOs. If you look at those ignition switches are going to be a little bit different. So when I got my bike back, what I found out was anytime I moved this switch around, nothing happened. It didn't matter what position I put it in, nothing would happen. The only way to activate the power to my bike was by hitting the run stop switch. So as I looked into things a little bit more, what I found out is that is the way a CVO operates, which is not what my bike is, right? And so I started looking a little deeper into it and looking at the configuration of the CVO lighting compared to mine. And I started thinking, maybe this has to do with something, right? It's tied in somehow, not sure how, right? That was kind of my job to figure out. And so I started looking at the box that the security system came in, and this security system actually is made for multiple bikes. This comes in, it's made for Dynas, for Sportsters, for touring bikes, and for trike models. So what that means is you can set it for multiple settings to accommodate whatever bike it is you have, because the lighting configuration on those bikes, they're not all consistent, right? So depending on what make and model you have, it's going to vary. So long story short, what I found out is my BCM was flashed, and no knock on Harley Davidson or my local Harley for doing this, but it was flashed for a CVO. I guess that's kind of like the more common request, is to get that CVO flash. Now the problem is, with that flash, it doesn't account for my switch settings. And as a personal preference, I wanted it to operate as close to normal as possible. So I can appreciate those who say, you know what, I really don't care about my switch. Like I use it to lock my bars and that's it. And I just want to flip that thing back and forth. I just didn't want it to work like that. I wanted to throw it in accessory so I can listen to the radio if I wanted, without having to prime my fuel pump or anything, right? So again, it was just a preference thing. I don't know if you prime the fuel pump over and over again, if that's going to create any issues. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I just know what I wanted. So I just want to make you aware, if you're going to get that Harley Davidson smart security system installed, understand the options that are going to be available to you, and know that if you get your bike back and it's not operating the way you expected, ask questions. And there's nothing wrong. Again, you know what? They have kind of recommendations, not only from the manufacturer who makes these parts for them, but also from a lot of their users. And maybe the majority of their users like this particular setting, so they just kind of apply it to everybody, right? They don't ask you, how would you like your bike flashed? Again, nothing wrong with that, right? So just be aware, something to think about. Other than that, I love the security system. It's pretty cool. Like I said, you walk away from this thing and it's armed. There's nothing going to happen with it. You can turn the switch on whatever way you want, and you get no power to the bike, which means it definitely won't start. Now, the one thing you have to be careful of is, once this security system is installed, now you have to worry or consider transport mode and think about your pin. So what is transport mode? Transport mode essentially tells the bike, hey, you're going to experience a lot of motion, so alarm, don't get triggered, don't start going off. Because what happens is people transport their Harley and they forget to put it in transport mode, and what that does is essentially it's constantly setting the alarm off to the point of killing your battery. So a lot of guys that get their battery or get their bike at their destination and their battery's completely dead, and the reason is because they forgot to put it in transport mode. There are videos out there on how to do that. I'm not going to cover that in this video here today. I just want to make you aware of the security system. The other piece of it is an actual pin, so you can, it's very possible you lose your fob, right? Maybe on the ride. In fact, I just saw a video of somebody on their way to Sturgis or in Sturgis who lost their fob, and they didn't know what their pin was, so they ended up having to do some research. They got a hold of it and got some new fobs, so Harley Davidson came through for them on that. But you need to be aware of it. It's a very simple setup. There's default pin number from Harley Davidson, so you just enter that in, follow the sequence of events that you need to take in order to program it, put your number in, and memorize it, right? Make it something simple that you can always get to, and that way it's not a problem. So that way, if you do lose your fob, you forget it, whatever it is, you're able to still start your bike right at home, right? That's really important. You want to make sure you get that taken care of. So I hope I brought a little bit of value to you with this video about the HD Smart Security System. Again, I think it's a great product. Just be aware that when they flash your BCM, that it has multiple options, and you want to make sure those options are set specifically for your bike and your preferences. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you like my content, subscribe. If you want to be made aware of the next video that comes out, hit the notification bell. I produce every Wednesday and Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you don't want the notification, don't click the bell. But regardless, you need to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and next time, I hope to see you in the wind.